like kind of like the semicircle thing where it's like sort of a square but not. But when it's a square like this on the ring, it's actually a damage increaser. And so when you see that, so like the circle on the breastplate is a pierce resistance, and the squares on the rusty sword are slash and toxic, or whatever they want to call it. And this is a bad example of damage increases, like I was saying. It's just wooden shield and all that, and I hope Steam did not record that noise. That would be rather frustrating. Some enemies can be asleep when you open doors, and so if you pick the lock, they stay asleep. So you can usually get a surprise critical hit on them, which does a lot of damage. A cube of flesh is very interesting, and I apparently activated a archer trap, which is brilliant. But yeah, and so like that's why sometimes having the sneaky thing is pretty nice. I activated a lot of arrow trap buttons apparently. I have not ever remembered how to be able to open those chests. I don't think I've ever been able to. I think you have to obtain all of one of your talent trees, if I recall properly. Alright, just pick up some of this non-alcoholic whatever. Ooh. That's a pretty nice, that's some pretty nice armor. It'll fetch a nice price. Platinum ingots, very nice. Alright, just a random table in the middle of this area. Hyperion and some you can also pick up potion making as one of your perks, which I should have picked up a lot of crafting perks instead, because sometimes those are more helpful. I didn't really think this through when I first started, but you know, this is my first time through in a long time, so I will attempt to revise myself as I go along. And these are potions that you can also make at certain points of the game, and most of them give you attack effects. Like this one would actually give you some frost damage, which is pretty handy. And like I said again, you could pick you can pick your choice of wow, see, this is the perfect example of me forgetting things. Alright, I forgot. Okay, well, moving on, we'll just continue to pick up stuff. Now, this is a pretty good bolt. It's one of the kinds that does special damage, and a lot of it. And there's one of my favorites is the nuke one. It actually is like almost mini nuke. There I picked up some native gold, which I can actually smelt. Sometimes you'll find bars already, and that would help you just not have to deal with smelting them. And let's see, open this up. More of this non-alcoholic beverage, I'm sure. Hitting space, like I was saying though, it allows you to choose. If the enemy is aggressive, it allows you to choose your kind of area of fighting. So you have a choice of where you want to fight. I think that's what I was trying to get towards in my previous sentence. And it forces your enemies to come to you if they're aggressive. And this is the way down to the next level, but we're gonna fully explore this dungeon. And what I could probably do is divide up the episodes, and I could probably divide them based on how far I get. If I manage to get down a level in 15 minutes, which I doubt, because I like to explore everything, I would then probably stop the episode there and begin a new one once I do that. Or if it takes me, like, let's say 45 minutes, I would probably then proceed to split the episode and then turn it into a 30-minute episode and a 15-minute episode. Alright, we don't want to get pincered here. And he might not be hostile, but he's dead now. And man, my damage is really good right now. Alright, got rid of that guy. Alright, this is another dispenser you can find, and it can give you various things, like rust, which I believe is a potion making thing. You can pick up ingots, which, if you have the money, it's usually useful to come back and buy them. And you can actually you can go back up to new old floors. You don't have to continue down and stop and just not be able to go back. You can actually come back to the next floor up, and then at that next floor up, you can go to the floor above again coming all the way back up. So, okay, now this is something you can do. You can pray to Inconsequentia, and what she does is she gives you random side quests that aren't really that useful. And so she usually will be like, oh, go slay this particular group of monsters on this floor, and it essentially turns these certain monsters on the next floor, or sometimes the same floor you're on, into slightly tougher monsters, but not too bad. And there's usually a couple of them, sometimes it's only one. And she will just give you a random kind of bland item. Sometimes they can be good, but and it gives you sort of a random thing about the monstrous horde, Lord Dreadmore's 48th Brigade. The abnormal portents must be stopped. And so it's really cheesy stuff that it makes the game a little more fun, because then it causes there to be some more monsters that are a little bit tougher. Here you could get throwing weapons, but since I'm not specialized in throwing weapons whatsoever, there's no point. And I don't have magic, so there's no point in that. Continue to pick up random things. And smashing crates. You can also cook steak and stuff like that, if you can find the Dwarven Panini Maker, I believe it is. Oh, and I managed to avoid seeing all of that. That's cool. Some traps, even though there's a chance not to be able to disarm, or if there's a chance percentage, if it's an arrow trap, for example, later, there are tougher gargoyle arrow traps that aren't disarmable right away because of the percentile chance, but you can actually stand on the side and just continuously attempting to disarm it while it shoots at some random spot. But exploding traps give you no mercy. Here's something cool, a laser wand. It's not exactly the best, but it's useful for killing things. It does some damage. Sometimes when you open things, it actually opens up a secret room with some random items. Sometimes they're pretty helpful, sometimes they're not amazing. Oh, there we go, I never had to buy the leather belt. Alright, go to my inventory and character real quick. I'm gonna slap on the leather belt. And this is probably not better than my chest piece. I lose an agility, or it brings my agility back up by 1. It reduces my magic by 2, which actually would raise my magic. Because it's leather, it gives me a lot of block chance. I don't know. I would lose that pierce resistance, but it would increase my nimbleness. I never got dodge chance, so I don't think I'm gonna bother sacrificing. I'd rather have as much armor, like that armor chance. It essentially gives the same stats. No, I want the piercing. Yeah, I want the piercing resistance because the Diggles do pierce. So it would be best if I kept. And now I have gloves. It reduces my enemy dodge reduction because they're heavy gloves apparently. So. Reduces that chance, but that's not too big of a deal. Alright, kill this guy. And here's Aqua Fortis. This is a potion making thing. It's not very useful for me, but nonetheless I shall pick it up for sell value. Another potion making thing. More throwing weapons, which at the beginning it's mostly softballs, and there's you'll see a count number, so softball times 6 essentially, so you get 6 of them, and it's for 65, and the reason why that's cheaper is because it's only 3, and bolos are actually pretty useful, and I love the thing. Try explaining these to the customs office. So just imagine trying to bring bolos back from like Africa or wherever they use them to hunt, and attempting to explain, oh, they're just recreational. It's like, yeah, right, they're designed to, like, you know, restrain someone by throwing them at them, and possibly strangling and killing them, which is not something I would recommend. I do not condone killing as I continue to needlessly slaughter all these pathetic creatures. More flippy floppers. Plastic bolts are... Plastic things in the game, there's actually plastic crafting, which you can doing blacksmithing and tinkering, they're kind of useless in most regards. They're not amazing, but the plastic armors actually do kind of give you bonuses that you wouldn't normally have. Like, it gives you a lot of dodge resist, so there we go, lockpicks, perfect. And seeing these statues around, called Statues of Dreadmore, if you break them, they just give you a lot of XP. So it's very nice to find those, because it scales per what floor you're on. So the farther down you get, the more it is. I believe the last level it gives you like almost 500 XP, but by that point you need it. And then this game also is a lot like a game called Fate. If you've ever played it, you kind of have these choices on whether or not you want to do certain things, and sometimes drinking from it, you'll find, I found an emerald encrusted gold ring, and sometimes you'll find things in them, or you'll get bonuses for a certain amount of turns. Like, you'll get a buff that gives you increased damage, trap sight, all sorts of random knick-knack abilities that kind of help. Now, what did I get? Oh, this is so nice. Oh, this was such a lucky find this early in the game. The emerald ring gives you a massive boost to your health. So there we go, it just increased my health by a ton. And it increased my life gained. The higher your, the little circular red one on the side that looks like revolving arrows around the heart that says 2, that increases your health regen. And so the more of those you have, the sooner you'll regen health without eating food. And that's really nice. And then, as you can see, my health is a little low now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to quickly eat this plum. And what happens is, it's not instant health. You gain 1 health when you eat. But what you have to do is then you have to walk around, and you'll see your health increase. Now, since it was a plum, it didn't do very much, but my regenerator room will help me regain my health fairly quickly now. And that's another thing to keep in mind. When something increases your health, you're going to have to remember to watch out, because it doesn't give you the health right away. Alright, a wooden shield, I already have one. Nothing in the mini fridge, and I accidentally clicked on it too much. We're gonna, the dire sandwich. This is a really nice effect. A lot of items you can actually find, like the dire sandwich, you can actually craft them in your inventory, and what they do is it's really a really nice sandwich. And then you can use, I think actually you can use the disposable ingot press to actually make sandwiches, if I recall. And you can combine like bread and cheese and a meat, and you can make stuff like the dire sandwich. Also, you could combine things like Diggle eggs, cheese, and you can make a Diggle omelet, which is also a really nice one to have. A bucket. Interesting. You don't want to think about what this bucket has been used for, nor do you wish to consider the fact that desperate times might force you to wear it on your head. So this, I do not have a helmet, but I don't really want to reduce my sight radius. Let's see. Okay, it gave me some dodge chance, or whichever the white one is, and it has given me a block chance. However, I think it will have reduced my sight radius now. Yeah, as you can see, I think it's already affected that. Okay, let's disarm those. Ow. Once you get to a certain point, you can actually disarm traps and collect them, but at my current level, I can't. Oh dear. Not good. Ow. Ow. Dang, that was dangerous. In these bookshelves, you can find recipes. So I have learned how to make a ring of iron thorns now. What I would need is a potion of stealing, and sometimes potions come in handy when you're crafting things, especially rarer items. And I need a pyrite sun. And this is another reason why that pocket dimension will come in very handy, because I don't have to carry all that random stuff that it's asking me to carry. So like, let's say I probably find the pyrite sun, well, it might take me forever to find that potion, and so I'd be carrying around a bunch of items, and I wouldn't be able to do anything until I find the whole set. So that's why that pocket dimension I was talking about is very nice. Apparently this this guy's not hostile. But pretty much every enemy will become hostile later, and some enemies are very scary deadly. Alright. What have we found? Alright. So that was not an item, that was actually an area, apparently. Sometimes they can give you buffs, but right now it has not given me anything. Ah, here's a good example of something cool. This is exactly like the Fate Anvil, and essentially within reason, and it can possibly give you bonuses. It can also remove negative things, or it can give you negative things. So you have to be very careful with this, because if you really have, like, you don't want to waste your emerald ring on it, but if you're really feeling risky, you can go ahead and try. I'm gonna enchant something that's useful, but I'm probably not gonna upgrade in a while. I don't really have anything in here. I could upgrade the crossbow because it has no perks besides some pierce damage. Upgrading the rusty sword and getting something nice would be awesome. I think I'm gonna just go for the iron breastplate, because if worse comes to worse, I can always equip the leather one. Oh yeah. Okay, so Krong was very pleased by me apparently, and so he decided to give me very nice perks on my iron armor. He has given me some magic transmutive damage when you attack, when your attack changes into something else, like clean white lenses into a very large dry cleaning bill. Oh, I get it now. Like clean white linens into a very large... It is not affected by your opponent's armor. So this spell in particular is... like, there's almost no resistance to it. And so this is a very nice one to actually get. Because it makes it where you just do damage that can't be blocked, I believe. And so that is very handy. And it also gave it to our ranged weapon. And the putrefying ring also applies to our ranged weapon. So it gave us a pretty nice thing. And it increased our savviness, apparently, which isn't that bad. I mean, it's not amazing, but hey. Alrighty. So that was amazing. That was very nice of you, Krong. Thank you. And now you can see that it was used, so you can no longer use it. And I believe we've come to the end of this dungeon area. I wish I could see my map. Also, enemies tend to respawn. As you can see, they decide to respawn sometimes, and so that way it keeps you from being able to just run around the map without any consequences at all. Which I don't see the big deal, because they're not that tough anyways, usually, the respawn. Uh-oh. Okay, here's a pretty tough enemy here. He doesn't have a lot of HP, but they usually do a lot of damage. It says, "I'm sorry, but your love interest is in another dungeon. It is peaceful. It is peaceful and not attacking at the moment." You would think this thing would want to rip your limbs from your other limbs, honestly, but apparently he's not that hostile. But now he will be. There we go. I just got a massive amount of XP because he was rare, apparently. And I can level up something. So, I think we shall upgrade... See, this is the other reason why I shouldn't have picked two of the like melee weapon skills, because now I have this entire melee weapon skill that's not going to be very useful. And I can't craft potions for my other skills, as you were also able to tell. So now it's just a matter of deciding what I need next. Alright. And if I sound nasally today, it's possibly because I have a cold. Other than that, I don't know why. Maybe I just sound like this all the time. And so if you don't like my voice, that's fine. But that's just the way I am, and I'm probably not going to change. So it looks like being a tinkerer is also good for a rogue type character or a mage, because it does increase your savviness, and so that is pretty nice. But upgrading this will increase my trap sight and trap disarming, and my ability to make better traps. So that would probably be a good thing to have. And I believe this also increases my trap sight. but not my disarming ability. So I'm going to increase my thing so I can start picking up the traps, because picking up traps can be very effective. Alright, and let's go into my character just to verify that. Trap affinity. Ah, okay, avoiding and disarming. Trap sight. Okay, so I increased both of those, I believe, so now I should be able to start collecting the cheap traps. I already pulled that. Alright. And I'm going to need to figure out this GUI in a minute here. I might have to play this in windowed mode, so you'll be seeing like my main screen. But that's the only way I can think of to fix the problem at the moment. Okay, a hostile blobby. I do not know what that says, but I think that's what some of the AI says. Oh! Okay. So apparently, I was able to open the Uber chest now. Maybe it's when you defeat an enemy like that? I do not know. My inventory is almost full, so we will make a trip back to the pig. Ah, here's what I was talking about. Now I can pick up some of the traps, and I was able to open that first trap. Okay, let's pray to Inconsequential just to accept another quest. Alright, she just wants us to find an artifact, or it's essentially a weapon, and once you find it, either it disappears and it's replaced by another one that you can obtain, or it becomes like something else you can use. Oh, see, there we go, we found it already. And I got a random item. And this is an orb. It works a little bit like the shields. You can essentially hold it for a bonus to certain things, like magic, for example, is the primary thing that this one does. I am going to have to sell some stuff real quick. Apparently there was a Diggle hiding in ambush, hoping to kill me while I was attempting to sell. Okay, let's get rid of some stuff here. I can get rid of the flippy flops. There's gotta be a better way to sell this stuff. Can I? No, that just drops it. Ooh, wow, that wooden shield was very nice. Sell a crude axe. Most of the beginner stuff won't sell for a lot. See, the leather studded chest plate is a good sell, but I don't need it anymore anyways because I got a really good buff off of the Anvil of Grom. Okay, I'm gonna do some inventory management as well here. I'm gonna put most of my crafting items up top, most of my armors, or all my weapons I should say, and stuff over to the side. I might keep a hold on that just because it's got some unique abilities. Okay, these could be used in crafting, I believe. I don't think I will be able to ever craft with them anyways though, because I won't be able to level up the skill. I would probably be able to craft low level things, but that's it. So I might as well sell it. The wands can be a very nice profit of Zorknids if you don't mind getting rid of some extra damage potential. Also there are various like levels of certain kinds of ammunition. For example, these are a really good plastic bolt, whereas these are kind of cheap plastic bolts, and they're really cheap plastic bolts which don't do hardly any damage. They do like some blunt damage and that's it, like 1 blunt damage, and so it's not very good for that. Okay, just sell this crude knife. I don't need it. I got plenty of slashing weapons. I'm gonna put these bolts down here. I'll sell the bone club. I want extra damage types other than just you know, just the basic stuff. I'm gonna sell this mushroom, don't need it. It can also potentially give you buffs, but I'm not gonna take the risk. I'm gonna hold on to that Aqua Fortis for now. I'm starting to think that the Pocket Dimension was actually a spell you learn. But we'll have to figure that out as we go. Okay, sell those. I apparently have 2 of those potions now. The Cube of Flesh, I'm gonna sell. It's for Fleshmancy, and I don't have that. It's pretty nasty talents. I've never dabbled with it, but I'd rather not. Just because I'm not the kind of evil wizard type anyways. you'll find that when I play through RPG games, I tend to pick the goody two-shoes characters, and I go for archery normally or melee, kind of like I'll do crossovers like magic melee, like paladins, or archery magic, where like in Fable, where you can buff out your archer to have magic abilities as well. So he does like the multi-shot from Fable 1, which was one of my favorite abilities back in that old classic game. Okay, just reposition. I do not need any drinks whatsoever, so I can sell all the grog for a little bit of Zorknins. Sewer brew. Okay, keep some foods and random stuff on my hotbar for easy access. Put this up here. Almost done. Alright, I'm just gonna sell the wand. I'd rather have a lot of Zorknins to have the ability to buy whatever I feel like. And since I'm mostly face smashing anyways, and I'm gonna keep a stockpile of bolts going, because as I found that the further you get into the game, if you go a little overboard with your shooting at the beginning, especially when you're new to the game, you tend to lose out on a lot of your ammo at the end of the game. And yes, you can craft it, but it just, to me, it became that much harder. Alright, do we have pants yet? No, we do not. So it might be worth dropping a little bit of Zorknids for these cutoffs. It's a real medical condition. Okay, that's something that is something that I remember. One time, my girlfriend and I were just waiting in my car for her airplane, and she showed me this funny video of this girl that was obsessed with cutoffs, and it wasn't a real thing, but it was just a joke. But regardless, it was really funny to watch her like just act all crazy about cutoffs. Okay, real quick, I am going to use this ingot press. In order to do that, you need to just go to the perspective ingot by using the slider. It's kind of primitive, sadly, but and then you can also make modified ingots like Electrum, which requires silver and gold, and those are used in other crafting recipes. And you get 2 per ingot, so it's very nice when you find another Diggle. Apparently I was able to pick up that acid sprayer. But the reason I'm attempting to pick up as much as possible in terms of traps and stuff, as you'll see, and hoarding arrows and stuff, when you find zoo rooms are really hard mob rooms where there's just like 100 mobs, and so your goal is to avoid getting absolutely murdered. And when you have melee weapons, it usually just doesn't cut it, because your health is not existent, and so it becomes really hard to survive if you're trying to melee. And Pyromancer's Gauntlets. It requires 2 gold ingots, a ruby, and supple leather gloves, which I think I have the ruby and what's it called? Interdimensional axe. I've made this before. It is very handy. Unfortunately, I do not know axes. And an emerald amulet, which requires a lot of platinum and an emerald. Interesting. Well, that was awesome. And recipes are kind of random. Sometimes you'll find probably some of the weakest recipes on lower floors, which make no sense, and sometimes you'll find OP things like the interdimensional axe at earlier levels. Interdimensional one does like time shifting damage or whatever it was, which is actually pretty awesome. An enormous wrench, a mace class weapon, that's pretty nice. Ooh, a Danish, which is really helpful for food, and lots of different foods. This, I believe, is an amazing one because it's really expensive. Apparently that's just organs. Tasty. Okay, I found another inconsequential statue. Might as well pray to her. Okay, and then sometimes she'll also give you other quests where you'll go around, when you're walking around, sometimes you'll find like this little monolith thing, and when you do that quest, a little statue thing will appear that you have to go over and interact with, and that will force you into kind of a fight with a random like bossy type minion enemy, which are usually pretty tough, and she gives you an item, just kind of like she did when I found that orb. I found a boulder drop plate. Some of these traps aren't very useful. Oh my goodness. Okay, I need to back up real quick and find a little corridor area to fight them in. You do not want to get surrounded in this game. Alright, just absolutely murder the bats for some free XP. Also, you need to be careful about fighting enemies over water, because enemies that are over water will just drop their item if they did in the water, and it'll be gone. So that's just a little bit of a thing. Apparently this was the group of enemies that I was supposed to fight earlier. Sweet. Alright, what did I get? Light armor that apparently increases my pierce damage, my burliness, wait, what is that fist actually? Okay. Melee power. Okay, so it increases my average damage. It also increases my dodge chance by 2, which I do not really need at the moment, and the other one, which was counter chance. Okay, so it's like, I guess it's more of a rogue armor because it increases that pierce damage, the general damage you do, and your dodge and your counter, which is very roguish. And I currently still appreciate this armor more, so I'm going to continue to wear it. Alright, this bat apparently has no concern fighting me, so I'll just murder Diggle. And they make hilarious death sounds. A lot of them are kind of generic death sounds though, which is kind of a little sad, but at the moment that's probably the best you're gonna do. Alright, I absolutely murdered those two. And sometimes you'll find these rooms when you're coming up to them, and you'll be able to tell what you can kind of get there because you'll see like these archery things, so you'll be able to pick up. See, these are the most basic plastic bolts. And I found some softballs and some of these mushrooms. I have no clue what they do. Potions are not random like in other dungeon crawlers because you make them. So, and they're pretty obvious. They wanted this game to be fun and easy, but at the same time kind of lethal, so you had to kind of live with having certain problems happen. A simple wooden shield. Alright. That one's just a weaker version of my shield that you could have picked up if you wanted to. Ah, here's one of these annoying monsters. These guys are really tough. I'm gonna attempt to fight him, but he starts really hurting me. I breathe defiance. Oh jeez, there was poison on the floor, and now I'm poisoned. Fun. And I think, yeah, I hit a haywire there, and I do not know what it really does.
Critical hit.
I'm not doing enough damage to this guy. Oh jeez.
To regain health.
And he starts telling you things kind of like they do in movies, like to regain health. So I'm gonna have to eat some aged steak. Oh jeez. Uh-oh. And I'm already done. Well, see, this is what happens when you die. And if you chose to replay even if you died, then you wouldn't have to deal with this. And it tells you what you got killed by, or how I got crunched like a tongue. So essentially, I bit my own tongue, I guess. Not literally. It was because most of the damage I took was from the Ely biting me. And then it tells you what you got killed by, on what level, and your total score based on how much you killed, how much you earned through gold, and all that. And you'll see a list of graves. Well then, this was a fun little session. I do not know how long I played, I'll have to check and edit. But I shall see you all again soon. Thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, you can go ahead and subscribe, and if you want to, you can like it if you did like it. Thanks again, this is Fire Nice, signing off.